Hi, everyone. It's Tessa.
And Joe.
From the Unveiling Paradise podcast.
Tessa, summer is almost here, and so many of our listeners are about to have their epic destination wedding.
And we are so excited for you guys.
Before the big day, guys, we want you to make sure you listen to these 3 episodes.
Episode 62, Deep Diving Your Wedding Ceremony.
Episode 53, Questions Your Wedding Guests Will Ask.
And episode 31, the final countdown to your wedding day.
And if you're planning your wedding here in Hawaii, hit us up and ask us about our Unveiling Paradise podcast promo.
Happy planning.
Hey, yo, Tessa, what's up?
Hey, Joe, how's it going?
Good. Okay, so today we are going to be tackling one of the most controversial topics yet to date.
Can't wait.
It is this. Do you make your wedding an adult-only or children-inclusive wedding, right? So do you make your wedding a kid-free wedding where you specifically say no kids are welcome?
That's a hot topic for sure. But before we get started, can I tell a story?
I think you already have a great story for this.
I have a great story to tell.
All
okay.
Right.
So I like reading on Reddit this subthread called Am I the A-hole?
What is that? What is that?
Well, I mean, I can't say it because we are a family-friendly podcast.
All right.
But A-hole, you know.
Yeah, we all know what that means. Yeah, I think that's fair enough to say. Okay, so there's actually a website on Reddit that's Am I the A-hole?
Yeah, and so basically people kind of post questions and they ask for people to tell them, like, are they in the right or are they in the wrong?
So is this kind of like they used to have this thing that was like hot or not? So you would post a picture and you'd be like, is this person hot or not?
I've never heard of that.
Okay, well, so am I the A-hole?
Were you on that website?
I don't know. Maybe.
Not.
But so this website, so you're like, am I the a-hole or am I right? Should I feel comfortable doing what I'm doing, or should I feel like I am the a-hole?
Right, exactly.
Okay, gotcha.
That's what
I gotcha.
it is.
Okay, gotcha.
So basically what happened is this couple had a wedding and they put on their invitation specifically, no children allowed.
Okay.
So it was very clear, no children. So a guest came and she was the cousin of the groom, and she decided that she did not feel comfortable leaving her 10-month-old baby with a sitter, with a family member, whatnot. She chose to bring her baby to this wedding.
Okay, so she brings the baby and she knows that she's not supposed to.
It is very clear, yes. So She RSVPs and she writes on the card, I am bringing my baby.
On the RSVP?
On the RSVP. No reply back, so she figures she's golden.
Right.
She shows up to the wedding. In the middle of the ceremony, the baby starts to cry.
Okay, yep, babies do that.
So she brings the baby out. And then during the reception, baby cries again, right? She makes a note, though. She's like, I'm not feeding the baby the food. Like, it's going to sit on my lap. We'll be fine.
Right. So that you're not actually having to pay for an extra plate of food for this baby.
No food for the baby, no seat for the baby, but the baby is present. Okay, so everything seems fine and dandy. She's cool. And she leaves, right? Wedding's over, all great times. A couple weeks later, her auntie reaches out. So this is the groom's mother, basically saying how rude and disrespectful it was to bring this baby to an adult-only wedding.
Wait, so this is the mother of the groom. Okay,
yeah,
all right.
The mother of the groom. And so she was saying, it was really rude. They were so shocked that you brought this baby. And, this person had said, well, I wrote it on the invitation. They knew.
Oh my gosh. This is kind of crazy. Like,
it's getting even more intense. I know. And so they were saying, well, the bride doesn't know you. She didn't want to start drama. She didn't want to say anything to you. But why would you even do it? So this poster is saying, am I the a-hole for bringing my baby to this wedding, even though it was an adult only, but I did put that I was bringing my baby. So they knew in advance. They could have said no.
Right. So they didn't say, oh my gosh.
So what are your thoughts?
Jeez, I don't know. Are you I think you are the a-hole in this situation, right?
You are I think you are the a-hole.
Yeah, but are you the a-hole for also making it so that no one with kids can attend your wedding? Are you the a-hole?
I don't think so.
Oh my goodness.
I don't think so. And I really believe that the couple was right. They stated it on their invitation. It changes the vibe. Like I said, the baby was crying in the wedding. Right. It changes the whole feel of the wedding that these people have paid a lot for.
So in the background, you have baby,
crying
and
screaming, whatnot.
Mom is running around trying to make her baby,
It's stressful for everybody. I think it adds a level of stress, which I don't know. Like, I'm torn. I think we have a lot to talk about today.
Wow,
but
yes, we do.
I think she is an a-hole for bringing this baby to a clearly stated adult-only wedding.
Oh my
What
gosh.
do you think?
This is a big question that we come across, and
I get this every single wedding, almost every single wedding. Yeah. So
all right, let's unpack it.
Let's do it. Welcome to Unveiling Paradise, your go-to destination wedding podcast. I'm Tessa, wedding planner and owner of Fred and Kate Events.
And I'm Joe, wedding and adventure photographer of Joseph Esser Photography. We are based in Hawaii, one of the biggest, most popular locations for destination weddings.
We want to share our real-life experiences with you, give you insight from a professional's perspective, and still make sure you're having fun in the process.
We're huge believers in the fact that planning a destination wedding can be one of the most amazing experiences, and we want to bring you along.
We're so excited to talk with you about weddings, Hawaii, and everything else under the sun.
So pack your bags and let's get started.
All right, so Tessa, the behemoth question of the day. Should you have kids at your weddings? I want to hear from you first. Yay or nay, Tessa?
Oh, this is a tough question.
So tough.
Can you answer first?
No. I'm going to wait for you, and then I'll come up with something awesome.
Okay.
Yay or nay? You only get to choose one. Yay or nay?
You sound like
kid-free.
me, making me make a decision, forcing a decision. If we're talking about just weddings in general, like if I have to just pick one, and I feel like I'm going to come up sounding like the a-hole, like I'm going to say no kids at weddings.
So you are a kid-free.
I think so. I am
gal.
a kid-free kind of wedding gal. I have a kid. I love kids.
You do have kids. You have a kid.
I do have a kid. I'm like the favorite mom of all the kids. So I feel like I love kids, but at a wedding, I don't know if this is the best place for them for multiple reasons.
So what do you mean by that? Like what could a kid-free wedding be like? That,
Sure.
That's different than having kids. Like
sure. Okay. So my first thought is just the added level of stress, right? So when you're talking about a wedding and kids are at a wedding, if you imagine this wedding and this couple has spent maybe years planning their wedding, right? Because of the pandemic, we've planned for 3 years. They have this vision of what they want. They're walking down the aisle and all of a sudden they hear like a baby screaming, crying, right?
Yeah, I mean that's true. Like weddings are stressful events, right? You put all this thought and anticipation, and there's this buildup and suspense and all this. They're stressful. So you're saying if you have kids,
right,
at the wedding, it adds another level.
It adds more stress, right? And because kids are unpredictable, you don't know what's going to happen, right? Again, at the ceremony, these kids are crying. You have flower girls and ring bearers who, when we do the rehearsal, they're fine and dandy, but now you throw them in front of 100 people and they're freaking out. And I've had to grab a ring bearer and then I'm walking him down the aisle because they were like, he has the real rings. He has to go down. And I'm like, okay, I got this.
That is so true. It's like when they see the whole crowd of people, it's
when everyone's staring at them and, nowadays with everyone's phones and cameras, like it's overwhelming for these little kids.
Yeah. And especially for ceremonies, I can totally appreciate what you're saying because sometimes
I'm right.
And well, hold on here. When you think about that moment where bride's walking down the aisle or the groom's walking down, whatever it is, that moment is the bride going to be crying or is the groom going to be crying? And if you have a baby that's making all this noise crying, it sort of takes away from that moment. And you're like,
and that's just even like a guest's baby crying, So just a quick short story is I had a bridesmaid, the maid of honor, and she had a newborn and she had her baby and she's ready to walk down the aisle and her baby starts crying. And so for me, you're also now taking away from giving the bride the attention she needs, right? You're her best friend. And of course she wants your baby to be happy and safe and whatnot, but it's just a whole nother level of stress. And so we often will grab the baby and try to, calm the baby down while the maid of honor is walking down and you can tell she's staring at us like, are you going to steal my baby?
What do we do? How do you shut this baby
everyone
up?
Is stressed, right? I'm sure that you as a photographer can appreciate that.
Well, it's actually funny. I do see that a lot where it's like, I feel like the coordinators have always become like the baby whisperers. They jump in and they're like, okay, grab that baby, try to make it quiet.
It's on my resume. Baby whisperer.
Baby whisperer. Yeah, perfect. And is that something you want your coordinator to be focused on in your wedding day? Or like, What else could else go wrong?
I know. What else do we do? Nothing. Nothing. Just watch your babies.
Well, so when you bring kids, when you have babies at a wedding, right? It's completely unpredictable, right? So if
100% unpredictable.
If you are a control freak, right?
Yeah,
Type A, and you want to make sure that everything goes according to your vision, and there's like all these random wild cards that kids are being the wild card in the
kids
situation.
Are the wild card,
right?
Always.
You don't have control over that.
Right, exactly. You have no control. And so in those situations, I do feel like having an adult-only wedding makes the most sense.
And would you say you're someone who self-describes as a type A control freak, Tessa?
No, I'm super chill. I am the chill one of this. Fine, I'm not.
But you want, I mean, your job is about making sure that everything goes smoothly and according to plan. That's exactly. Your job, right?
Like, that's literally what we do. So kids add a whole nother level of unknowns and possible troubleshooting that I have to think about.
Right. And I can appreciate that from your perspective.
Thank you.
If I could describe myself, I love the unpredictable. I love all that crazy.
You are the loose cannon of this group.
I'm the photographer, so whatever happens, happens.
Well, you like those crazy shots, right? All those photos.
If the wedding cake explodes,
don't even jinx a cake.
I don't know how that would ever happen. That's awesome because it's unpredictable, and everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, the wedding cake just exploded." I get what you're saying about the kids crying. Yes, that's annoying for everybody, right? If you're on an airplane, you're at a wedding, that's annoying. But I love all the unpredictable things. So when the, flower girl is walking down the aisle and gets super shy, right, or the ring bearer goes the wrong direction. I mean, those are the things that make for really fun moments, right? They're the things that weren't supposed to happen. And I think for me, that's what bringing kids to a wedding is all about. It's about having that kind of youthfulness and playfulness, and they're seeing a wedding and they're so excited, and they're look at the princess at the front of the aisle, it's amazing, and I think that's
I appreciate that, an exploding cake or a kid walking down the wrong way is cute. I get what you're saying about, a cake exploding in front of everybody. Or...
Okay, so cakes don't actually explode. But I will say...
It would be my nightmare.
I would say, and then this is another, the unpredictable things. This is one of the things I actually really love, and I know that you totally hate this. Oh but God. Every once in a while we'll have some of the kids will come up to the cake and they'll take a little they'll take their finger and they'll run it through the frosting.
I want to slap those kids' hands. They're don't touch my cake.
And I love taking those pictures. I'm go ahead, do it. I don't care.
Your mom said it's okay.
Your mom said it's okay. Just make sure that I'm getting some cute photos of you doing this. Right.
I get what you're saying, and I think kids are cute sometimes. And, even the cake swipes sometimes I guess can be cute. But in the grander scheme of your wedding, I don't know if these cute things, these cute incidents outweigh the negatives or the struggles and the stress that is added to a bride's plate on their wedding day.
Right.
Sorry.
So we can agree on this as a major point that we want to take into consideration. So do you like the chaos and the unpredictability, or do you want to plan your wedding where you have more control over those things? And kids at your wedding, again, do bring that level of unpredictability.
Okay, so I get your points, and I do agree with some of your points, but I think I have more to say.
Okay, so more kid hating. Is that what you're
Not kid hating,
kid
just
hating at the weddings.
Kid awareness, if you will.
Okay,
kid awareness.
That sounds totally politically correct. I don't even know what that's about. All right, go for it. So this is why you don't think we should.
This is why I don't think we should have kids at the wedding. And you were just talking about how they're unpredictable. And so for me, a lot of that as a mom starts tying into safety, right? Having kids at your wedding changes the vibe.
Sure.
Parents now, instead of partying or drinking, right, they're having to watch their kids. Or even scarier, they're not watching their kids and they're still partying.
Actually, when you say that, I hear that a lot from our couples when they say they're doing a kid-free wedding. Mm-hmm. It's about allowing the parents to actually be able to party at the wedding and dance and not have to have that stress of watching their kids and also trying to find, that time to have fun too.
Right, exactly. And I think that's the point, right, is we do weddings. And again, it could go either way, where the parents are really stressed the whole time because they have their 5-year-old with them and they're trying to watch them. Or on the flip, they just kind of throw caution to the wind and they are just drinking. and I see kids kind of wandering by themselves. We do a lot of weddings at outdoor venues where, there's water, there's no gates. It's not like in a ballroom. They're out in the open and the elements and.
Right. And you have like some of these venues where it's like you're right on the ocean and it's pitch black water.
It's pitch black, right?
Or you're right on the side of a pool, right? And you're like.
So it's dangerous, So from a safety standpoint, I feel like we could both agree
to take care of the kids.
That maybe kids shouldn't be at a wedding.
No. Okay. All right.
What are your thoughts? I guess, what do you think about that?
Well, okay. I am also a parent, right?
Yes, you are.
And so I do think that, yes, when you go to a wedding, you have to watch your kids, and it does change the vibe of the night for you. But it's so much fun for them to be part of that wedding. It's like kids are the ones that are out on the dance floor a lot of the times that are like having fun. And sometimes weddings would be so boring if that kids weren't there, right? They're like, sometimes we're at weddings and there are no adults dancing because they're just all too cool, or they're all, whatever they are.
We're very cool.
Right. And you watch these kids and they're like doing like their awesome new TikTok moves. And, and I think that kids do bring a level of fun, but again, what is the intent of the wedding? Is the intent to be a family friendly sort of event, or is it, more of like something where the parents can actually have time to cut loose and not be on, parental duty for the night?
I hate to admit it, but I think you're a little right.
That's never been said before.
I know. I wish this wasn't recorded. But I have to agree in the fact that kids do bring a level of fun. And I'm not talking about the kids themselves, but the activities and the different things that we can add to weddings to make it fun for kids.
What do you mean? Like, what are you talking about?
We've had some kid weddings and we've done like these kid zones. So they have like the cute little tents with the pillows and all of these little activities we've done.
Oh my gosh, that's like right out of Pinterest. I can see it right now, right?
Right, I know. And we've done like bounce houses where I guess if you're having an adult-only wedding, would you have a bounce house?
You can totally have a bounce house.
I know. I mean, and a lot of adults do, but with the kids, it's almost like it makes it okay. It's like, when you go to like a candy store, but you bring your kid and you're like, oh, it's because I have her with me.
Right. So Tessa, we want to set ourselves up for success. So if we are, right, so if we're planning a kid-free or a kid-friendly wedding, what should we really be doing, to make sure that this is an awesome event and that actually our guests are following the rules too, whatever those rules are, if it's kid-free or kid-friendly, right?
Right. So if you do decide that you want to have kids in your wedding.
Which I love that. I think it's awesome to have kids at your wedding.
Great. Good for you. I think you just need to plan ahead, right? You have to, number one, accept the fact that you can't control what kids are going to do.
True.
Right? We have no control over kids. They're wild. We both have kids.
They are wild.
They are wild. They are equally wild. But, it's creating these really fun spaces for them. Yeah. I love, I do have to say the thing I love about kids at weddings is that level of fun.
Right.
So planning fun activities, right? Just so having like those tents and the bounce houses and the mocktails and activities.
But you have to do something for the kids. You can't just be like, you're going to be at this wedding.
Unless you buy them all iPads. Then I think that's cool too.
But you're still doing something. You have to have something specific to keep the kids' attention.
But I guess it doesn't have to be specific to kids. So for example, we talked about a photo booth, and I think that's really cool. Adults and kids can use it. Bounce houses, also same thing, right? Adults and kids. So it doesn't have to be like a coloring book.
Sure. Right?
And it's also, I think, something that I want to bring up that I forgot to say is it should be, if you're creating activities, it's age specific.
Yeah.
Right? So a lot of people get they see on Pinterest these really cute like coloring books. I'm going to tell you, like a 14-year-old's not going to want to do that.
No, they're not.
Right? And so you create these really cute packages, but they're not going to use them. Or even, if these kids have an iPad or phone, they're not going to want to play with all these little Legos that you bought.
What about food? Like,
oh my gosh, I love food. Let's talk about food.
But sometimes, like, some of the food that's served at weddings is kids are going to be like, ugh, gross, fish or whatever.
Yeah, no, you're totally right on that.
Ew, gross, chicken wings.
Everyone loves chicken wings. Joe loves chicken wings. I think that's a good point. A lot of venues have a kids meal, or a lot of caterers have kids meals. So I was at a hotel the other week, and the kids meal looked amazing. It was this huge bowl of mac and cheese.
Oh, yeah.
I literally told my assistant, I'm like, why can't we have that?
Right.
So I think there's a lot of things, right? So again, it's making sure that you acknowledge the fact that these kids are not the same as adults. Their eating is different. Their entertainment level, their ADD levels are different. So it's just making sure that you keep them entertained.
Yes.
Right?
And well fed.
And I mean, that's everyone, though, right? Everyone should be well fed. We feed your vendors.
Feed your vendors, feed your kids.
Feed your kids.
Feed your wives.
Yeah, everyone. So, I think if you are going to have kids, it's just keeping those things in mind. I think that's really important.
So is there a way to control your kids at a wedding? So I'm just thinking, like, are there wedding ceremonies where maybe the kids don't show up until the ceremony's over, or they're there for the reception, is there a way to control these kids?
So, okay, I guess number one, no, you cannot control kids, right?
Well, you can, unless by not having them there.
Exactly. Right. And I think, you're asking about kids being at ceremony and not reception. I think more commonly people will allow them at the ceremony and then not the reception.
Oh, interesting.
Because then it allows the parents to let loose, party, all of those things. So I think it's almost opposite of what your thought is.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense though. I
get that. Yeah. So it is doable.
If you don't want to have kids at your wedding, I think you do have to take into account like the parents who do have kids that, may or may not show up to the wedding because of that request.
Especially the small kids, the young kids.
Yeah. So that in that Reddit article, I mean, this mom had a 9-month-old?
Yeah, 10 months, but still baby.
Yeah. And so I think that's something that I think we have to talk about. So obviously you want to make sure that the really important people are at the wedding. Right. So,
for sure.
So what do you do if you do not have kids at these weddings? Like what can we say to plan for success for the kid-free wedding? Like what should we know?
Right. So, if it's kid-free, I think one of the things that I think people really like, especially with destination weddings, right? Because they're traveling, their family might not be there, they don't know anybody. It's offering to hire sitters. So it's two ways, right? Number one, you can have a sitter where they're in your hotel room, right? So they're just watching your kid by themselves. Another one that I've seen a lot is, if you're partying in a ballroom, they can have sitters watching a bunch of kids in a ballroom next door. So it's
this
still
is something you could
close.
You could put this into your wedding budget. Even.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you can offer to have people watching your kids next door.
Wow.
In that ballroom. I don't know. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that would be like the best of both worlds if, you can have your kids, in a little timeout room.
Yeah, exactly. They're kind of in a corner eating their mac and cheese,
right?
Chicken wings,
watching their iPads, whatever. Yeah. Or maybe there's a movie playing or something fun like that.
So a lot of the different resort hotels, they do offer like kid, like kid zones or kid play areas.
Right.
Where you can rent it for the evening.
But what about the 10-month-old mom though? What do you say to her?
I mean, that's on her. I guess, again, like we can offer options. Like, here's a babysitter service if you want to have someone. I know in the Reddit, she just didn't feel comfortable. So, I mean, that's kind of a tough one.
Yeah. And so that's the kind of the question I wanted to ask you too at the beginning was, how would you have handled this situation as a coordinator?
Oh, as a coordinator or as a mom?
Or
like if I was invited, or am I the planner there, coordinator?
Let's say you're the planner, and then let's say you're the mom.
Yeah. Okay. So I think there's an easy answer and a not easy answer. If I was the mom and I have a 10-month-old, I wouldn't have gone. Just because if I didn't feel comfortable, and I've done that when my daughter was younger, like if I didn't feel comfortable leaving her alone to weddings, I didn't go.
Sure.
Right? Sure. Just because they asked for no kids, like I'm not above everybody else.
Right.
As the planner, I think it's a little different. If she drove 6 hours to get there, and I check with the bride and groom and they're like, she's already here. What are we going to do?
Right.
There's nothing, right? Obviously, if the baby starts crying, I would offer my skills to help hold the baby. But other than that, there's not much you can do.
Yeah, and I think it's too late at that point.
Yeah, there's no point shaming her, making her feel bad about it at that point. Only on Reddit after the fact.
Right. Online.
2 weeks later, for everyone to judge.
Right. And I think that probably had the couple who were, looking through the RSVPs had they been more proactive,
right,
they could have caught that and said, you know what, I'm so sorry, as politely as you could, but your kid can't come.
I know. What would you have done?
What would I have done? I mean,
like if you were the parent.
Yeah. So as a parent, I agree. I would have kept baby at home, and when you feel comfortable and when you don't, so I don't think you want to be putting that stress on the couple, especially with the newborns and the infants. You probably want to be staying home anyway. I mean, that's what I remember doing a lot.
I have a question for you. So we all know you're a photographer.
That is true.
You talk about it all the time.
Yes, it's true.
But your company also does video.
Yes.
So as a videographer, how do you feel about these kids crying during the ceremony? Because now you have audio. So now you can hear it on your audio with kids crying. Does that change your mind about kids being at your wedding or not?
Well, honestly, it's not
Answer truthfully.
Yeah, and this is truthfully, it's not a big deal for us for video.
Really?
Because of the way we capture audio, we have these little lav mics that sit basically right under the whoever's speaking's, voice box. We get what they're saying and we don't get all of that background noise. Except I will say I hate helicopters. The baby's crying, no problem, but like a big helicopter going woof, 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 like that messes up our audio.
What if the bride is holding the baby?
She shouldn't be holding the baby. Give the baby to Tessa.
I'll take your baby.
No, but
I mean not take your baby.
I think it's more distracting for the bride and groom than it is for the
So
audio.
from a professional level, audio, it's fine.
Yeah.
Like that doesn't bother you.
But yeah, you're not going to hear that. You're not going to be hearing that because typically babies are too far away. And if you're holding the baby at the ceremony, right, that means that probably you want to have the baby part of the ceremony.
Fine.
So that's okay, right? I think that would be a nice moment, maybe.
Valid. Okay, so
I guess this is another thing that I think we should talk about is sometimes our couples have a newborn.
Yes.
Especially with COVID, right?
I was just going to say that.
babies.
Yeah, post-COVID, a lot of my couples are like, so I have a baby.
Yeah, we haven't gotten married yet, but we're going to get married.
Well, because they've postponed their wedding, right? But they didn't stop their lives.
Yeah, so here's a very tricky situation, right? Where you have a newborn or, an infant and mom and dad are getting married now. Like, what do you do in that situation? Because obviously,
they're coming. And so so the funny thing is I just had one. We're in the middle of COVID. They got pregnant, they had a baby, and they're like, so our wedding's coming up. So they had, I think their baby was like 4 months old, like a baby, you know?
Yeah.
But you just, for me with those, you just make do. Again, I think I have pictures of me with the baby. Like I'm carrying the baby
But mom obviously can't stay home.
She can't stay home. The baby can't stay home, right? Because obviously like grandparents are there, everyone's there. So it's just... You make do, and it's fine. And then again, like I become like babysitter number one.
You are the go-to. Yes,
it is what I do. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it just got even more complicated.
Okay, Joe.
All right.
Question for you.
Let's go.
How do you, because I don't want kids at our weddings, like say we all agree that we don't want kids at the wedding.
All right.
How do you nicely ask people on their invitations to leave them at home?
Oh my gosh, I don't think I can answer this.
You have to.
I mean, I think you use all your nice, sweet words.
But what do you say?
Kindly request. But I think you just have to bring that to people's attention from the get-go, right? So if you're sending out your save the dates, this is an adult-only wedding.
So you think it should be on the save the date?
I think it should be. I think you should figure it out as soon as, because if you do want those parents to leave their kids at home or hire a babysitter, you got to give them the heads up. If you don't, they're just not going to show up. But I think,
or they'll bring the baby,
or they'll bring the baby. And if that's your intent, then you want to make sure that they have enough warning. And it's okay. I mean, this isn't something that's like so controversial to ask, families to just keep the kids at home. That's something that's common. It's not like it's some sort of horrific plague on the wedding, right? Right. So. But you can do that. But I think you have to, as much forewarning as possible, and just making sure that it's on everything, right? So it's in your save the date, it's in your invitation, on the website. So if you need to get a neck tattoo,
do it. So that I'm super chill, right? We know that. But even though I'm super chill, I did list out some ways that you could nicely say it. So I'm just going to read them.
Okay, all right.
But I'm not type A.
All right.
Very chill.
All right. Are these your buzzwords?
No, these are just some examples that I've had from clients. I've also seen it on the internet, but I thought these were some good examples of ways to tell people to leave your kids at home.
Perfect. Okay. Let's hear it.
So some of the examples were, please join us for an adult-only reception. So again, that was saying come to ceremony, but leave your kids at home.
So does that make it? That seems a little confusing to me. So they can come to the ceremony?
They could, or
but
it could say, please
reception.
join us for an adult-only celebration or wedding or whatever you choose to do. Another one that I thought was a little harsh: we respectfully request no children at our wedding. What do you think about that one?
The point is you have to make sure that you're clear, right?
Yeah.
So if you are saying respectfully, thank you, please, and whatever else, like it has to be there. Otherwise people will say, oh, I don't know, maybe I can. Are you sure?
It's a request, not like a demand.
Yeah.
I see.
You
Okay.
can demand. We
should.
Respectfully
Don't come.
demand.
Okay. Try this one. We love your kids, but thought you'd like a night off. Adults only, please.
There you go.
Is that demanding enough?
And then if you can provide the babysitter for everybody or whatever, that's amazing. They're like, yes, best of both worlds.
Yeah. Okay. 2 more. One is, unfortunately, we cannot accommodate children at our reception. Thank you for understanding.
That sounds lame.
It does sound lame. I know.
We cannot. You can accommodate. You choose.
We just don't want to.
No,
What if we
don't
said,
like
unfortunately, we do not want to accommodate children at our wedding?
Yeah, that's horrible.
Okay, one more. We hope you will understand our decision to make the wedding children-free and take the opportunity to let your hair down and celebrate in style.
There you go.
You like that one?
I like that. I think that's my favorite.
It's so wordy. By the end, they're going to be like, I don't know what that means.
What is it? But I mean, you just have to, and you can probably recycle all of these, right?
Yeah.
You can use them over and over in different ways and, just to get your point across, right?
Just put it in different places, different ways. But again, I agree with you in the fact that it should be said as many places as possible and as early as possible.
And as clearly as possible.
Yes.
Right?
Don't come to my wedding, kid. That sounds mean.
Yeah. So you're a kid hater again. All right, got it. Wow, I'm so confused. But I think we did sort of find some answers.
This was like a little overwhelming. I'm not going to lie. There was a lot happening in this.
So let's recap this. Tessa, okay, why don't you start with your kid hating no?
Okay.
Your vote for no. What?
Okay, so my vote for no, this is my thought, right? A couple reasons. Number one, kids are unpredictable. It changes the vibe. Parents can't have fun, or parents have too much fun, and these kids are like going rogue. And they add another level of stress to everyone, the guests, the couple, me as a wedding planner, right? It makes everything a little harder, especially if the couple is type A.
Right. And if you're not type A, which makes you type B?
Type C, like cool.
You love kids at your weddings. And again, we've talked about how much fun kids are in photos and all the unpredictability and the things.
Because you love you want an exploding cake.
Yeah. No, and you want that level of fun. You want that, the silliness that kids bring to weddings. And you can do it in ways that make it safe for kids. Right.
Agree. I do. I like the fun. I like the element of fun. I feel like, could we do the fun without the kids? Is that mean?
No, and it's okay.
Thank you. Thank you. And if you don't want kids, I think it's important to give people time to plan. You know, I know that you talked about that, and I agree. So offering sitter services, stating it clearly, letting people know as early as possible so they can plan. You're going to want, your friends or family to come, but if we don't give them warning, they're not going to be able to make it. And I think that's a bummer too.
And if you do want kids, make sure you have awesome kid meals, right? And
mac and cheese. Yeah. Every kid loves that.
And things that can be fun for kids and adults, right?
Definitely. I love the kid activities. I do.
Yeah. And it's super fun for photos too. Perfect.
Okay. Question. Did you have kids at your wedding?
You're going to hate this.
Tell me.
Because I'm going to sound horrible. But we had a kid-free wedding.
You did have a kid-free wedding.
We did. Well, we were also, when we got married, it was like we were like just out of college and we didn't have a lot of our friends and family that had kids. But we did want to make sure that everybody was able
You're
to
a kid hater.
No. I mean, I think it was circumstantial, but I mean, yes, I think that there is a benefit to it, right? To have the option. Okay, tables turned. Did you have kids at your wedding? Did you have a kid-free wedding, or did you have?
So this is going to sound really crazy, but I did have kids at my wedding.
Oh my gosh.
I know. And it was a small wedding too. We only had like 50, 60 people, but I want to say 10 kids.
Tables have turned. Okay,
Who are we?
Everything that I just said, you're going to have to it's like reverse a world now.
It's so weird. I know. Who are we?
Wow. Okay. Well, that's amazing.
That's funny. Noted.
Oh my gosh, we have 2 special guests today in our studio.
I'm so excited. Let's announce it.
Our very, very first guest to the podcast.
This is going to blow up big time.
Yes, okay. They are our kids.
Yay!
We have Valentina.
And Sophia.
Woo! And they're going to have the final word today. Kids at weddings, yay or nay?
I wonder what they're going to choose.
All right, go for it. Should kids be allowed at weddings? Yes or no?
Sophia, what do you think?
Yes, we get cake.
She is my daughter.
I am.
Valentina, yes or no?
Yes.
Why? Is it the cake too?
Kids love cake. That's
Kids
fair.
love cake and the party and the dancing. All right, well, you guys got the final word. Thank you so much.
I guess kids are allowed at weddings. You were right
Yes.
after all, Joe. So here we are at Joe's favorite part of our podcast.
Why is it my favorite part?
Because it is. I never have a good answer. It's always you. But the question this week that we got from one of our listeners is, what's the best question I should be asking each of my wedding vendors?
Yes, okay.
You want to go first?
I have the perfect answer for this.
Okay.
Are you available on my wedding day?
That's lame. I kind of feel like that's a cop-out.
No, it's so true, though. It's so true. Like, if you just jump into a phone call with someone, you're like, talking about how amazing your services are or whatever.
Right.
And they're sold, and then they're like, oh, I'm booked on your wedding date.
I've had that
sorry.
before. I've had that before.
And actually, this is actually probably a better answer than that. That's maybe less lame. Is when you are talking to your vendors and they are available, if you fall in love with them, book them, because this happens to me all the time. Where I meet with a couple and we're like totally on the same page. And then they get back to me 3 or 4 months later and like, yes, we're ready to book. And then I am no longer available. And that's
no, you're
such
right.
a
I've
bummer.
had that before too. I've definitely had that before too. I think for me, my answer is, it's not really an answer or a question, but I think.
What is it then?
I don't know. This is why this is not my favorite section. For me, when I'm talking to my couples, or if I'm talking to them and they're about to book other vendors, they'll often say like, what should I ask them? Like, what should I be finding out? And I think for me, it's do you like their personality?
Yeah.
I know that you had talked about this in a previous episode, but it's, do you get along? Do you feel like this person gets your vision? Do they vibe with you? Are you okay with Joe the Creeper being with you for 8 hours on your wedding day?
Right. Okay. So they can be Mr. or Mrs. Personality and be a horrible photographer then.
Well, but that's fair. But at that point, especially if you're working with a planner, we've done the groundwork. We've done the homework, right? So you're not just reaching out to some rando on Craigslist.
Right.
It's like, these are professionals. You know these people, or you know that they are actual businesses. Beyond that, how do you differentiate from these people, right? From different vendors. And I think personality plays a big part of that.
Right. You want to make sure that you're starting with the professional first.
Yes.
And then...
And if they're available.
And then
do you like them?
Do you fit with them? Do you gel with them?
Right?
Are you guys going to be a good fit? That is our best answer for this week's question. Thanks for the questions, as always.
Thank you for the questions.
And that is it for this week's show. Yay, we're done. We did it. And I also want to point out that we are now on Patreon.
Woo!
Which is the way that you can help support our show. So if you look and see, there's a little link at the bottom. This is how you can help support our show and keep us going.
Thank you so much for supporting. We appreciate it. We want to hear from you. So we love getting your questions. We love getting your thoughts. Can you please just keep emailing us with all of your amazing questions?
And hopefully we get you on the show. We love even the weird questions, the random questions. Just
any question, we'll
send them our
take
way.
it.
Yes.
We will see you back here soon, Jet Setters.
All right. Love you guys.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. Bye-bye. Thanks for listening to another episode of Unveiling Paradise.
If you enjoy our show, please follow us and rate us on Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts. It would really mean a lot.
And don't forget to also get on our mailing list and follow us on Instagram. Just do it already.
Until next time, this is Tessa.
And this is Joe.
And don't forget, your happily ever after
is just a plane ride away.